Okay, welcome once again, everybody, to the official podcast of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association. Of course, as you probably know by now, we call it Answering the Call. My name is Jamie Kenneally, sitting alongside our BPPA President, Larry Calderone. Larry, how are we doing today?
Just peachy, Jamie, ready to go again.
Lots to get to. Top three issues we want to address today. Latest in our on-contract negotiations, public safety details again under attack, and police officers sadly flocking from the police department to the fire department. But first, Larry, just a horrible week for law enforcement. We had 4 officers killed in the line of duty last week. One officer in Greenville, Mississippi, another in Las Vegas, and of course 2 in Bristol, Connecticut. Sergeant Dustin DeMont and police officer Alex Hamsey. Thoughts and prayers, of course, to everybody impacted. But your thoughts on that, Larry?
It's just disgraceful, Jamie. I mean, look, this again is fallout from the defund the police movement that's been going on since the George Floyd incident. And as horrific as that incident was, you can't blame law enforcement around the country. You can't constantly, when I say can't, I'm talking about elected officials. You can't have elected officials running around the country trying to defund police departments, blaming police officers on a mass scale for all of the ailments in society. And that has led to where we are today. I mean, you mentioned obviously the fallen officers, absolutely horrible. But take a look at how many police officers have been shot in the line of duty that luckily have not lost their life. It's just one after another over the last couple of weeks. This Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Tennessee, Chicago, Michigan, North Carolina. I'm trying to name all the ones that we know about. Yep. Alabama. It seems that every day a police officer is being attacked.
Yep.
And where are these same politicians? Why aren't they out there saying that we can't live in a lawless society? Look at what's going on in New York. We like to compare ourselves to New York all the time. You have Mayor Adams out there who finally had the courage to turn around and talk about the immigration problem that's happening and the crime wave that's going on. But yet, you can't seem to do anything but blame the police department. It's just awful. It's a tragedy what's going on out there. And I don't see it getting any better. I see crime spiking, and I see us being blamed all the more.
And you don't ask, or we're not asking for elected officials to do much except to condemn the violence. When a police officer, and I hate to say it, Larry, we say killed in the line of duty, and that almost sounds too
graphic.
No, they're murdering police officers. That's what's happening. Police officers are being murdered, and yet you've got elected officials who say nothing. And as to your point, there's no question the anti-law enforcement rhetoric is making this job an already dangerous job ever more dangerous. But speaking of violence, Jean McGuire, Larry, she's 91 years old, civil rights icon in Boston, first African-American female elected to the school committee, stabbed walking her dog. I think it was last Tuesday night in Franklin Park. And the response to this incident, I think, is telling. On one hand, you have her family saying, hey, folks, please call the police. Help the police, call Crime Stoppers, help the police locate the suspect. And on the other spectrum, you have elected officials who want to defund the police talking and demanding more from law enforcement. When you hear that, how enraged do you get?
My rage I try to contain, especially on this show. But you have an icon in the city who cannot walk her dog in public in her own neighborhood without being attacked. And the rhetoric coming from the councilors, it's just despicable. Councilor Fernandez Anderson, let's start with her. She can't even conduct herself like a professional in her own council hearing meetings, using F-bombs, standing up, slamming her hand off the table. I guess it's more of a scene of American Housewives or whatever those TV shows are where people don't know how to act like professionals or act accordingly. But here's a city councilor that leads the defund the police movement rhetoric in the council, wanting to cut the budget, wanting to cut the overtime budget, and then turns around and wants more police in her neighborhood. Cut the crap.
The hypocrisy is off the charts. And to your point, too, you've got a woman slamming her fist, dropping F-bombs, and she wants I guess to be respected, but again, the hypocrisy where she wants to defund the police and now she wants more police is just is aggravating to no end.
Yeah, I mean that's sorry to jump right back to that. That's the laughable moment. We can recall just going back a year ago where one city councilor, same thing on the defund the police movement, talking about the police are to blame for everything, but secretly working with the department to put more police officers in her neighborhood on Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, thus taking bodies from throughout the district, including supervisors, and quietly putting more cops in her neighborhood. I mean, you talk about hypocrisy.
Behind the scenes, making direct phone calls to the district station saying, people need to protect me, where are the officers? And then publicly saying, yeah, cops are the enemy, cops are the problem, cops are the issue.
It's no shame with some of these councils, no shame.
Painful.
But they should be paid. What is the thing they just put forward? They want a 20% raise, right? Undoubtedly, I'm going to say on a serious note, undoubtedly, everybody deserves a pay raise. We're talking about one of the most expensive cities in America to live in. Yep. So does the city council deserve a raise? Sure they do. But you know who deserves a raise first? Their first responders, their police officers, their firefighters, their EMTs, any city worker that was out on the front line day and night during the COVID pandemic, because surely the city councilors weren't out there on the COVID pandemic. They were at home getting paid while we were out working. So if anybody deserves a raise, yeah, the council does too, but we should be first.
But it's pretty brazen, really, when you think about it. The fact that they don't know enough to say, hey, yeah, and I agree, we deserve a raise, but let's take care of those who take care of the city first. Let's take care of those who are out there 24/7, 365, keeping the city safe. I mean, if you're a city councilor, I would almost feel awkward in trying to make the case. Yeah, you deserve the pay, but you shouldn't go first. Speaking of pay, contract negotiations with the city continue. Let me just ask you the obvious question, Larry. Where are we as of today?
I'm going to tell you that your word of continue, probably not true by its definition. So the mayor and the city have seemed to come to a stalemate. We have not heard from the mayor's team over the last couple of weeks. We have had 10 meetings. Things were working beautifully up until the last couple of meetings, the last few weeks. As I reported in the last show, they don't seem to want to come to the table with a real pay raise, with a real offering. They just want to take. They want concessions from this organization, and they're not getting it. They want to talk about discipline change language. They want to talk about MIS change language. They have a 7-page detail bill request, negotiating starting point on the table, but yet no movement. Here, I'll revert back. They want to give themselves a 20% pay raise. Yep. We can argue whether or not they deserve it. Again, one of the most expensive cities in America. But when you come to the table and you tell the men and women that are protecting you day and night, again through the pandemic, we're the heroes on the front line. Their words, not mine, as much as I agree with it. But let's throw it back at them. We're the heroes that are out there 24/7. Police, fire, EMTs, etc. How come they're coming to the table offering us 6%? Yeah. How come there's no movement? How come the teachers get 9.5 and they can't even come and offer us 9.5? We're just to the point where it's just continued disrespect. I want to stop short of saying that the mayor's team is a joke right now. We're going to file a joint labor management. We're doing our homework and preparing our paperwork to do so. We're going to go and make this same arguments that we've been making for the last few months at the table. We deserve a pay raise. The city can afford it. We haven't had a contract in 2 years. We're not objecting to negotiating some of the changes that they want to do to the paid detail system, some of the changes that they want to do to MIS. It's not that we're not willing to make some changes, but negotiations are a two-way street. It is a quid pro quo system. They negotiate something, we want to be paid for it. The days of zeros are all over in this administration. I'll go right on the record right here, like I do at every roll call. Zeros are not an option for me. They are not an option for this leadership team, this bargaining team, and this union. There is no such thing as a zero, whether it's a body camera or anything else that they want to do. You want to change the working conditions of the way we perform our job? Pay us. But sit down and negotiate fairly, and that is not what is happening on their side of the table.
I think the thing that kills people, too, is here you have one of the best police departments in the nation. You have an obvious opportunity to value your police department. And it's funny, one of the city councils asked me about details. He said, hey, Jamie, if you guys lose details, what's the big deal? I said, what's the big deal if you lose details? I said, you're going to destroy this police department. Somebody somewhere along the way found a way to pay police officers without costing taxpayers a dime. Somebody found a way to pay cops more, and again, taxpayers not have to pay a dime. And somebody wants to blow that system up, and it's the disrespect. You know, you get surrounding towns and cities who treat their officers better, and instead of them finding ways to keep cops, retain cops, value our officers, they're talking about pay cuts. The latest thing with the details, I know, driving our members crazy. City Councilor Kendra Lauer leading the charge, again, a defunder through and through. Your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on it. So let's go into what you started with, Councilor Kendra Lara. Talk about a phony baloney. So her statistics and her data are wrong. Do we have jobs that are going unfilled, paid detail jobs that go unfilled on a daily basis? Yes, we do. Are they up around 40 or 50% daily? No, they are not. She is inflating her numbers. She is out there in the general public trying to stir an argument that is anti-police, which is pretty much her foundation. Look no further than her own webpage and how she campaigned. She is an anti-police candidate. She pretends that she's not, but actions speak louder than words. Now, when we talk about her movement on details, she wants to replace a detail system that puts approximately 300 to 350 police officers on the street every day, except the weekends, at no cost to the taxpayer.
Say that again, please.
Yep. 300 to 350 police officers, Monday through Friday, at no cost to the taxpayer. So I stop and I say to people that are listening to this podcast, just stop
and think about that point alone.
Yeah, stop and think about it. When do you see a police officer? You tell me, when you're driving home, when do you see a police officer?
Well, more often than not, you see a police officer on a detail site in the street, making sure people cross the street, making sure motorists are doing the right thing. So, yeah, I see detail officers across the city every single day.
Yeah. So to the citizens that are listening to this, that's the point that I want to drive home, is that more often than not, your law enforcement officer, the person that is ready with a radio, with their equipment, with their firearm and their badge, they are there ready to respond in an instance. We just had an incident the other night where 3 police officers are on a detail and they are approached by 2 men pulling a woman in what appeared to be a wagon. The woman's unconscious. After the police officers react and attempt to revive her and attempt to see if she's breathing, they administer Narcan and bring her back. Possibly, we can argue the point, saved this woman's life because they were out on a paid detail.
You can make that point.
Yeah, because they were out on a paid detail, because they have the training and the knowledge, because they're equipped with Narcan. You're not going to get that from a civilian flagger. You know what you are going to get from a civilian flagger is you're going to get a costly organization, another bureaucracy run by the city of Boston, where they want to employ convicted felons and others. And let's not forget that we are in Massachusetts. You are in a prevailing wage state. What does that mean? Again, for the common listener, that means you're going to pay a prevailing wage somewhere in the line of the laborers union of $75 to $84 an hour for a full package. I don't want to be deceptive or misleading. That includes the health care, that includes the benefits, but you're talking, you get a police officer on the street for $50 an hour, armed, radio, firearm, badge, authority to direct traffic, protect the general public, CPR trained, administering Narcan, saving lives and responding immediately. You want to put a civilian flagger out there for $20, $30, $35 an hour more, just so you can hire your son, your sister. I'm making fun of Councilor Fernandez Anderson, who ran as
they need
who didn't know. She didn't know
right.
that you're not supposed to hire a family member. Give me a break. You want to be respected? be professional, be respectful.
And you want people to follow the rules and do the right thing. Well, guess what? Those rules and those laws, et cetera, apply to you.
Sorry, I went off, taking my shot at the council.
It's a good tangent, but you talk to most people, and your point's a good one. When people aren't about, when you see a police officer in detail, again, the big point is that officer is there. That's an added layer of safety protection, a free layer of safety protection. And, when somebody wants to change something, the first argument is, will it save money? Is there cost savings? There is no cost savings in what Kendra Lara is proposing. It's all about defunding, defaming, disrespecting police officers. And this system has survived and been around for a while because it makes so much sense.
And let me go on a little more, because I know, based upon our numbers and our data, that we know that citizens, this podcast isn't listened to just by police and fire. We know that there's citizens out there that are listening to the podcast, which we're thankful for, because this is where you get real information. Right. This is where you cut through the bowl and you get it from the horse's mouth. So
there's no agenda-driven stuff here.
Let's stay on details, because I did mention that there are details that go unfilled. So let's talk about why they go unfilled.
Let's talk about why.
Yeah, let's talk about it. There's a reason why they go unfilled. And first off, it's because we're short 400 to 500 police officers over the last 25 years. This has been a system that, as far as I'm concerned, has been self-generated by politicians in City Hall, even by some of our own department leaders. That's how I look at this. They want to do more with less. They want to continue asking the men and women in uniform to work double and triple tours, rob and Peter to pay Paul, and they've created a shortage of officers, not only that increases our overtime budget, but yet does not allow uniformed police officers on the street doing a privately paid detail. If they hired more bodies, they would have plenty more police officers to fill jobs. In the jobs that go unfilled, I'd like to say it openly again, there's no secret bargaining with this BPPA leadership. There's no secret bargaining with City Hall, which irritates the mayor and her team. So I'd like to have these conversations. We are at the table negotiating. We understand that we could create a hierarchy of law enforcement able bodies on the street to do the details that aren't unfilled. Look no further than surrounding communities around the Commonwealth, where they have a retiree detail system in place. We passed that bill several years ago on Beacon Hill. We've had four different commissioners that could have implemented a retiree system. They refuse to do so because they don't want police officers on the street. I believe this is a little bit of an inside game being brought to the forefront here as a way to hire
weaken police departments.
Weaken this police department and hire more bureaucratically connected employees.
Oh, there are flagger companies salivating. Civilian flagger companies salivating, and the point you made is a good one. We call them public safety paid details. They're public safety details, okay? Public safety for a reason, because you want police officers, people in uniform, people who are trained, who provide a level of public safety when they're out in the street. You talked about that story where the three officers saved the young woman. What does a flagger do in that case?
Nothing.
Wave a flag?
Nothing.
Call 911. That's what he does. Yeah. He calls police. Why call police when you can have them there? Again, a system that isn't broken, needs no fix. But you're right. It's insulting to no end.
I got to jump in because you say call 911. One of our Fair City councilors, just like New York, they don't want you to call 911. They want you to call 311. And then that same city councilor turns around and says, why isn't the police doing more? When G. McGuire was attacked, again, we're the ones that the fingers pointed at. Why aren't the police doing more? Why didn't somebody call 911? Jesus, I can't get enough shots across the bow with some of these city councils. What a bunch of phonies.
The attack is on, and people wonder why police officers are defensive. And again, because of this, the anti-law enforcement rhetoric, dangerous, divisive, and it puts police officers in harm's way. And again, God forbid someone's hurt in an officer-involved incident. We hate to see that. But when that happens, you get people across the country saying the cops screwed up, they did something wrong. But yet a police officer is murdered in the line of duty, they say nothing. From a credibility point of view, they've got little to none, at least as it relates to us.
And before you go on to your next topic, too, let's just stay on details here for a second. For the members that are listening, please take this to heart. On November 1st at 2 p.m., Councilor Lara is attempting to have a hearing in the City Council chambers on the 5th floor on changing our detail system and taking details away. Make no mistake about it, it is our livelihood that she and other counselors are after. Your union has sent out a mass email requesting anybody that is not working to please meet us on the 5th floor of City Hall on November 1st, beginning at 1:30 p.m. We should be flooding those chambers. We should be letting our city council, our elected officials, we should be letting them know how serious of a threat to public safety this is, and how serious of a threat it is to your financial and our financial well-being. Let them know how disrespectful they are, and let them know how upset we are about what they're attempting to do. So I hope you're going to join us there, because we're going to get up there and we're going to give this same type of speech. We're going to get up there and let the councils know we don't appreciate their disrespect, their dishonesty, and the movement that they're trying to do to hurt our members and our families. I hope you're going to be there that day with us.
Give me that date again, like November 1st at what time?
November 1st. The hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m., but we would like officers to start showing up at 1:30. We would like to get inside the chambers. I want to stress, we're going to be professionals, because we are professionals. We're going to act like the educated professionals that we are on a daily basis, but we're going to flood that chamber. And I will get up there and talk just like I'm talking on this podcast. Yep. We are going to let them know how disrespectful they are, not only to us, but to the citizens we protect and our families at home.
You know, it's funny. Again, the verbiage they like to use. Kendra Large says these jobs belong to community members. Community members need to take back these jobs. And again, making us the bad guy, pitting the community against us, even though we're one of the best community policing departments in the nation. Community members love us, which cracks me up, because when you hear from Laura and Tanya Fernandez-Anderson, I don't know who they talk to. But they clearly aren't speaking to the majority of Bostonians who love their cops. So, by the way, we are part of the community. We are from Boston. We grew up in the city. We care about the city. Don't tell us who cares more about this.
Yeah, speak to Reverend Eugene Rivers, and you get a pretty good feeling for how the community feels about their police officers and how much we are needed. This rhetoric from Councilors Laura and Fernandez-Anderson. I've said enough.
All right, Larry, it's time now for the Ask Larry portion of the podcast. Again, listeners are encouraged to email questions to Larry at answeringthecall@bppa.org. Again, that email address, answeringthecall, all one word, at bppa.org. Another quick question. This one comes from Amy in Dorchester. Hey, Larry, heard you on the Dan Ray Show. When are you going to call out BPD leadership for the lack of staffing on the department's midnight shifts? My husband's life is at stake every night he walks out the door. Wow.
Yeah, that is a wow. Excuse me. So first off, Amy, thank you, because clearly your husband is a police officer. I think I've been calling out the leadership on their lack thereof leadership. I know that I've given some kudos to Chief Long over the last few podcasts we put out there, and he's deserving of those kudos. He has done the best job he could with a police department that is short 25-30% of where they should be according to the city ordinance. Hundreds of officers. I'll say thank you to your husband going to work. He's our union member as well. He's a police officer like Jamie and myself.
We appreciate him.
Yeah, let's talk about the leadership of the department. You want me to call them out? It's not too hard to do, so let's do it right here. Commissioner Cox has been the commissioner for 6 weeks now, or 4 to 6 weeks. We're expecting bigger and better things. I will give him the compliment of he's been a good listener. He has given me, as the president of this union, the opportunity to sit down with him on a few occasions now, talk about manpower, talk about staffing or lack thereof. So he is well aware of it. I don't speak for him, but he is in agreement publicly that we are short hundreds of police officers. So calling him out, yeah, I hope the commission is going to deliver. I hope our new commissioner is going to hire hundreds of police officers. I hope he's going to enter into agreement with Chief Bob Ferrillo, who runs the MPTC police academies across the Commonwealth, that being the one in Randolph that I keep referring to. We can staff academy personnel day and night at these regional academies. We can use our own in Hyde Park. The commissioner has authority to make that happen. So let's make it happen. So when you say call him out, here it is. I hope the commissioner is going to deliver. His new chief of staff and BFS, Superintendent Lenita Calderone. I'm going to give her the same thank yous and kudos of sitting down and meeting and having an open line of communication and standing up for the men and women in uniform. I hope she's going to deliver on that. I hope she's going to help the commissioner and help this organization hire bodies and get them on the street. Find a way to hold the department supervisors, their leadership, hold them accountable. Staying with calling out leadership and command staff members. Let's talk about mental health and well-being again. Let's talk about the department's leadership, their rhetoric of standing up for the men and women in uniform, making sure that their health and wellness is first and foremost.
Treating officers with respect.
Yeah. How is that possible when you transfer a captain from the court unit to staff inspection who's out there on the 4 to midnight to 7:30, 7:30 to 4 shifts, antagonizing police officers on paid details, showing up in different cars, trying to catch them taking a coffee break or possibly getting lunch. God forbid a police officer, you'll use the restroom and Captain shows up. You want officers to feel good about themselves. You want to pick up morale in this department. I assume, Amy, this fits what you're asking for. Tell your command staff members to help the rank and file on the street, not try to have a gotcha moment. These secret, sneaky things that are going on with some of these captains and some of these deputies, they need to be called out, so we'll call it out here. Leave the police officers alone. Stop trying to catch them taking a break, getting a cup of coffee. You want to police them? Do it like a supervisor. Have some dignity, have some respect for the person that you're going to check on, and be the captain you're supposed to be. So, Amy, I hope I'm fulfilling what you want, because I started with the police commissioner. I went down to the superintendent of field services, who is the superintendent of the uniform branch. We are very hopeful from the communication we've had that they're going to deliver, but there's no secret. We're asking for it. We're asking for it publicly. And when they talk about mental health and well-being, I know I'm using a captain by name, Jamie, and some people will frown on that, but let's cut the bull. Leave the police officers alone. They are out there doing the job day and night. And if somebody's not doing it, then do your job as a supervisor. Go out there, call another patrol supervisor down there, speak to the officer, take the course of action you want to take, but stop being a sneak and stop harassing everybody.
Well, I mean, you said it speaks to the heart of the matter, that, of course, being wellness. Morale is low, and we should be looking for ways to value and appreciate our officers and treat them like adults. And there are too many guys and girls out there who feel disrespected internally. I mean, we've got these self-inflicted wounds where we have folks up on high treating our officers with respect less than they deserve. There's no reason for it. It's killing morale. The officers deserve better. No, I think you speak what we've been hearing from a lot of people, Larry. All right. On that note, any final thought?
Now, I'd just like to reiterate, my thanks to the job the men and women do every day. It's nice to try and leave on a note where I'm not losing my cool, and say thank you to the rank and file. Remind them to spend as much time at home as they can with their families. Halloween's coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, do the best that they can. And keep your head held high, because this is a great job. We are a great department. We are a strong, united union, and I hope that we're going to really display that on November 1st at 2 p.m. at the City Council hearing. I hope everybody's there with their House of Representatives, because we will be calling a special meeting of the House of Representatives. We will expect all 54 members of the House to be in attendance, and we hope the rank and file will be able to find the time to join us.
Echoing your point to the rank and file, feel good because you guys are good. Yep. And we got some of the best in the nation right here in Boston. All right, that's the show. Thank you for listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the BPPA. For Larry Calderone, I'm Jamie Kenneally. Till next time, stay safe, everybody.